Adana was only 20 when she became a mother. The child in her arms, Tari, was fragile, her small soft cheeks, curly hair, and wide, trusting eyes that always followed Adana as though she was the center of the universe. But for Adana, who had just begun to step into adulthood herself, motherhood felt more like an overwhelming weight than a blessing. She had not been prepared for this, for the long nights, the endless responsibility, or the constant worry. They lived in a modest compound in a rural village, a small home made of cracked clay walls, a zinc roof that had seen better days, and the constant scent of burning wood from the stove. Adana's mother, Mama Grace, was the rock of their small family. She had raised Adana alone with farming and selling firewood, her hands always busy but never unloving. Adana had never appreciated that warmth. All she saw was a life of struggle, hard work, and poverty. She wanted more. She dreamed of a life beyond the mud huts, the firewood, and the constant worry about survival. So when a man came into her life, promising glitter and luxury, she decided to leave. One evening, with the crickets singing their nightly chorus, Adana stood in the doorway, a small travel bag slung over her shoulder. She had powdered her face and styled her hair carefully, wearing her best gown. Tari, her 3-year-old daughter, clung to her knees, her big eyes searching Adana's face as though she knew something was wrong. "Mama," Adana said softly, bending down to place Tari in her mother's arms. "Help me take care of her. I'm going to the city. I've met someone online, a very rich guy. He promised me everything a girl needs to have and I'm in love with him already. I won't be gone long." Mama Grace, sitting on her stool, didn't look up immediately. She continued peeling cassava, her hands stained. The air smelled of earth and spices, familiar and grounding. "Adana, you're chasing wind," Mama Grace said quietly. "The city is not love. That man is not family, all his promises are fake and won't last." Adana smiled faintly, a hollow, empty smile that seemed to hold more sadness than hope. "I want more than this mud house and roasted yam, Mama. I deserve it," she replied, her words firm but betraying a deep uncertainty. And then, she turned and walked away. She left. Her journey was quite long. When she got to the location the man gave her, she stopped, and within 2 minutes the man pulled up to her with a shining Lexus Adana had never seen real. The man opened the door for her. She got in. The man's name was Lekan. He was everything the village wasn't: tall, caramel-skinned, and always exuding wealth. Expensive cologne, gold chains, designer jeans, his presence was magnetic. To Adana, he was freedom. He was escape. He was everything she had ever dreamed of. Lekan introduced her to the world she had always imagined: flashy clubs with lights that danced on the walls, drinks that glistened in the dim light, and laughter that echoed endlessly on balconies. They took selfies in mirrors, posted their perfect life on social media, and lived for the validation of strangers. He bought her things: phones, wigs, handbags. Anything her heart desired. But Lekan was like sugar in the rain, sweet, but fleeting. As quickly as he had pulled her into his world, he grew bored. His heart was shallow, his love a facade. He met another woman, one who didn't need anything. She was light-skinned, polished, perfect. One day, while Adana was frying plantains in his kitchen, he walked in, that woman by his side. "You're still here?" he asked coldly, his eyes colder than she had ever seen. Adana blinked. "What?" "This is my fiancé." "You have to leave," he said, as though it was nothing more than a formality. Adana laughed nervously. "Stop playing." But Lekan was serious. He went upstairs, opened the door, and threw her bags outside, scattering her wigs, clothes, and everything she had come to hold dear. With the same hands that once caressed her, he pushed her out of the door. He discarded her. Back in the village, Tari had grown accustomed to asking the same questions. "Grandma, when will Mama come and take me?" she asked, her voice soft, full of innocence. "Why do other children laugh when I say I have a mommy? Is Mama sick?" Mama Grace would smile faintly, the pain of those words swallowing her whole. "She'll come, my child. One day." Tari wore hand-me-down clothes, always with patches on the knees. She fetched water. She followed Mama Grace to the farm. At school, other children mocked her. "Your mama don't throw you away," they would say. Tari would swallow the insults, hold her head high, and continue walking. But deep down, the pain remained. It haunted her every time she caught sight of a mother and child laughing together. She never once blamed Mama Grace. She could feel the love and sacrifice from her grandmother, but the absence of her mother was an ache that never went away. As the years passed, Mama Grace's health began to decline. She was older now, her back bent from years of hard labor. She could still work the farm, but the strain was evident. Tari, who had grown into a quiet, determined young girl, took on even more responsibilities at home. By the time Tari was 16, her grandmother was too ill to work. Tari became the backbone of the household, working tirelessly to make ends meet, keeping the house clean, and continuing her education while balancing the demands of the farm. She had dreams of her own, but they were now intertwined with the care of the only family she had left. And then, one day, Mama Grace died. The pain of that loss was unlike anything Tari had ever known. The woman who had been both her mother and her father, the one who had taught her resilience and love, was gone. Tari's world shifted. She cried for days, but there was no one to comfort her, no one to offer words of wisdom or healing. The entire village mourned with her, but it wasn't the same. No one could fill the void. Mama Grace had raised her alone, but now, Tari was truly alone. Despite the overwhelming grief, Tari pressed on. She knew that her grandmother wouldn't have wanted her to give up. She had learned from the strongest woman she had ever known, and it was time to make Mama Grace proud. At just 18, she managed to get into the state university, thanks to her hard work and the scholarship she earned from her growing reputation as a determined young woman. But even in the midst of her academic success, Tari never forgot her roots. She expanded her puff-puff business, Tari's Taste, into a full-fledged chin-chin brand. She began making larger quantities of snacks, securing bigger orders from local businesses, and getting her products into supermarkets. As her business grew, she hired struggling adults from the village, offering them jobs and teaching them how to make the snacks. She had learned how to cook and run a small business, and now she was passing on that knowledge to others who were eager to learn. Soon, Tari's Taste became known across the town, and Tari's name became synonymous with hard work, integrity, and the desire to help others. She mentored young girls who wanted to learn how to run their own businesses, and her brand expanded. She wasn't just a businesswoman, she was becoming a community leader, someone who took pride in building the future of others while achieving her own dreams. Despite all this, the ache of her mother's abandonment never truly left her. The absence of her mother haunted her every day. But Tari carried on, focusing on her work, her studies, and her community, knowing that one day, her life would be her own, and she would never have to look back. By the time Tari was 21, her hard work had paid off in ways she had never imagined. She had bought herself a black Mercedes-Benz, a symbol of her success and determination. The car gleamed under the sun, a stark contrast to the mud huts she had once known. She would often drive it through the town, her heart swelling with pride as people marveled at the car she had worked so hard to afford. One evening, as she returned home from a long day at the market, where she had been supervising her employees and ensuring everything ran smoothly, she was driving her black Mercedes-Benz along the main road back to her small apartment. The sun was beginning to set, and the cool evening breeze offered some comfort from the heat of the day. She had just turned the corner, her mind focused on the orders she still needed to complete for the next day, when she saw a figure by the roadside, crying. The woman was hunched over, her body shaking with sobs, her head buried in her hands. She was wearing tattered clothes, and her face, though familiar, was worn and thin. Tari's first instinct was to keep driving, thinking the woman was simply a stranger in distress. But there was something about the way she cried, a familiarity in the way she slumped, a sorrow that seemed all too familiar to Tari. A cold shiver ran through her body. She slowed down, and as she did, the woman's sobs quieted. The woman looked up slowly, and their eyes met. Tari froze. It was Adana. Her mother. The woman who had left her in the village, the woman who had abandoned her for a life of luxury, was sitting before her, broken and lost. Adana's eyes widened as she looked at her daughter. Recognition flashed across her face. Tari, her voice trembled. Please, forgive me. I've been lost without you. I made a terrible mistake. I know I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I want to make it right. I just want to be with you. Tari's chest tightened. Her emotions were a whirlwind. A part of her wanted to reach out, to run into her mother's arms and hear the apologies, to hear the love she had longed for. But another part of her, the stronger part, felt the years of abandonment, the pain of growing up without her mother, the weight of all the lies and regrets that Adana had left behind. Tari sat in her car for a moment, her heart heavy, her breath shallow. She could feel the anger rising, anger at the years she had spent alone, anger at the woman who had walked away from her, anger at the woman now pleading for forgiveness. You left me, Mama, Tari said, her voice cold. You left me alone. I was a child who needed you. But you chose to chase glitter over family. You chose him over me. Tears welled up in her eyes, but she quickly wiped them away, refusing to let Adana see her weakness. She had grown so much since then, she wasn't the scared little girl who had cried for her mother anymore. I don't have room for you in my life anymore, Tari continued, her voice firm. You should have thought about that before you left me. She started the engine, the roar of the Mercedes-Benz cutting through the silence. Without another word, Tari drove away, leaving her mother behind. Final lesson. 1. The pursuit of glitter often ends in shadows. Adana chased luxury but lost her soul. 2. Not every man who offers gold offers love. Lekon's gifts were temporary. His betrayal permanent. 3. A child may forgive, but they never forget. Tari's silence was louder than any insult. 4. The real heroes are often unseen. Mama Grace raised a queen in the dirt, without applause. 5. Love has a time. So does regret. By the time Adana returned, the door had already closed. If this story touched you, drop a comment and tell us which part made your heart pause. Subscribe and turn on notifications for more real, powerful African stories that deserve to be told. We'll see you in the next one.